Okay, so let's all be honest. Everyone knows that one asshole parent who runs their child into the ground because of their slight possibility of raising the next Michael Jordan. When we visualize our own futures, the large possibility and responsibility of raising an athlete must be recognized. Whether or not our child wants to become the next Jordan should entirely be their own choice. As parents of the future, and even as college students today, we have an unspoken obligation to fuel the passion and love for sports children play. We must allow kids to explore many sports and not force them to specialize. Let them control their own future, even if sports are not in it. Furthermore, sports have become an increasingly large part of our society today. Along with that, the pressures to excel at a young age have drastically increased. By the end of my speech, I want you all to realize that diversification of an athlete, especially at the youth level, is a viable solution to the problems of intense specialization of youth athletes. As an athlete myself, I understand why some people speculate that specialization will give kids a competitive advantage over those who don't. However, because of my own success and a proven track record of a plethora of other professional athletes through diversification proves otherwise. After researching ESS or early sports specialization, it is conclusive that it is more beneficial for youth athletes to not specialize and diversify their athletic experiences. Through not specializing, athletes will, one, create a more dynamic athletic body and versatile athlete, two, prevent injuries and burnout, and three, allow kids to just have fun while playing sports. Today, I will be discussing the problems of ESS and the negative repercussions it has on the children, while also improving an insightful solution of why diversification of these athletes is more beneficial to them. So first of all, let's examine the several problems of ESS and why diversification is a reliable and successful solution to athletes. The first major problem, like I specified earlier, is there's a lack of versatility in an athlete that only specializes in one sport. According to an extensive chiropractic analysis study entitled A Case for Early Sports Specialization in an Adolescent Athlete, evidence encourages early sport diversification to help develop multiple athletic skills, maintain motivation and engagement in a sport, as well as standard periods of rest. Without implementation of these periods of rest, athletes can hurt their bodies, which is a point we'll further discuss. Essentially, a youth athlete will enhance their overall athletic performance by learning how to use a multitude of muscle groups versus the overuse attributed with the problem of specialization. Furthermore, to give you a bigger understanding of what I'm trying to say, in an article by Denny Colbeck, titled A Successful Sports Experience or Future Flameout, the Case Against ESS, an analogy of a pizza is used to portray the benefits of diversifying a young athlete. So in this article, I want you to think about when Colbeck says, imagine baking a bigger pizza, which then yields bigger slices. Improve underlying multi-directional mobility and stability in muscle joints, develop and expand conditioning levels, and express themselves physically and emotionally in different ways. So to clarify, what he's saying is an assertion that, say we're all a cheese pizza, and we will never be categorized as a veggie or meat pizza. But if we add in pepperoni in there and we add in green peppers, then we're more diversified as an overall pizza. So if we use this in terms of an athlete, myself as a hockey player, if I will most likely have an increase in hamstring and gluteus strength. However, if I use to implement playing soccer as well, I can increase my ankle mobility, which is usually lacking in a hockey player due to the isolation of their legs and ankles in a hockey boot. So we will further develop more athletic skills. Along with that, professional athletes and college athletes have also proven the benefits of versatility because of their extensive success through diversification. Many supporters of ESS speculate that if an athlete doesn't diversify, or that if an athlete does diversify, that they're not going to be able to gain enough credibility in that one sport. However, examples such as 1980s tennis star Bjorn Borg won 11 Grand Slam titles and played a multitude of sports and didn't specialize in tennis until he was 6 years old. Other greats such as Mia Hamm played football, basketball, and baseball when growing up. In this article, they further assess this point by stating over 80% of college NCAA recruits did not specialize in high school. And as a collegiate athlete myself, I didn't either. I competed in other sports such as track and lacrosse before playing collegiate hockey, and I think those skills really carried over into my sport. So attacking the second point of the problem of ESS is the large increase of injuries. So among injured athletes in a study that focuses on the 6-point specialization scale, among injured athletes, 60.4% were considered highly specialized. So that's just a clear indication that over half these athletes that are getting injured are specialized athletes. 50% of all injuries seen in pediatric sports medicine are related to specialization and a microtrauma to muscles, joints, bones, tendons, under constant stress. So really a great example is looking at a disease like Osgood-Schlager's disease, which happens in youth athletes often right in their knees. So what's happening is with the growing of the tendons along with the high pressure of maybe at a sport, for example, of running, you're going to increase tension and it actually creates micro tears in your knee. So that's just one example of an injury that can happen. Along with physical injuries, they also like to coin the term burnout, which is like, in a sense, mental injury. Because of the enormous amount of time, it's all about impossible to reach this level of master status, which in Malcolm Gladwell's book, he's referring to a study by Dr. Erickson focusing on 10,000 hours being necessary to achieve a master status in a sport, which is not possible for a child to do in such a little amount of time. So after looking at these two main points, we can also assess that for the third point, it's taking the fun and enjoyment out of sports. In conclusion, the problems with ESS and youth athletes are very prevalent in communities today. In summary, extensive research proves that it's very detrimental for children to implement ESS, and diversification is a very probable solution. I want to emphasize to you that all sports impact our lives in a plethora of ways, whether we play them or not. It's relevant because sports are founded on dreams. They challenge us to all overcome adversity and become the best versions of ourselves possible. And we want to be an advocate for children and their safety and enjoyment of playing sports as a whole. So the problem with ESS has a much larger ramification than sports itself. We have to let us all become the cool parents, not the asshole who likes to let their kid do whatever they deem necessary in life to make that happiness inside them, whether it's playing sports or not.